Little Joe, mystery thriller starring Emily Beecham and Ben Whishaw, is out in theaters in Poland. Weirdly enough, the film has been out for quite some time elsewhere. It debuted on festivals as early as May 2019, with wide theatrical releases happening mostly towards the end of last year. Why was it so delayed in Poland? I don't know, but anyway, it is out now. The story sounds fairly ridiculous on paper, so bear with me. Emily Beecham plays Alice, a professional flower breeder working at this large new lab facility thing. Her latest project is trying to grow a flower that goes sort of against the market trends in terms of its maintenance. You need to water it regularly, keep it in a heated spot, talk to it, show it love, but in return, when the flower blossoms, it's supposed to release a smell that is genetically manufactured to make you happy, to impact your brain chemistry in order to produce the right hormones. Alice calls the flower Little Joe after her son Joe, with whom she lives, trying to balance raising a kid together with her estranged husband and her professional career. At first, it seems to go well with the flowers as they're growing along nicely, but soon a suspicion is cast about the pollen of the flower. There's a possibility that it may affect, kill basically, other breeds of flowers at the lab when it's released. And then it goes even further because one of the coworkers claims that Little Joe can also affect humans, changing them, making it so their first imperative is to protect the plant and ensure it is propagated more and more. And so begins this interesting thriller filled with paranoia, where things around Alice start to get weirder and weirder, and she's uncertain whether it really has something to do with the plant or it's just her projections of her internal personal and work life problems onto the canvas of the latest project. So it does seem like a weird film on paper, and it kind of is, but it's certainly better than maybe expected based on this description. I think its biggest strength is creating this atmosphere of unease, this constantly unsettling air of something being quite off. There's several components to that contribute to that atmosphere. One is of course the script and the acting, but for me the less obvious elements are the more important ones in this scenario. The score is fantastic. It's really weird and eerie, and there's something different about it. The instruments and individual sounds that it uses that helps create this odd alien atmosphere. Put it like this, there are multiple shots in the film where we're essentially just looking at plants growing through an almost unmoving camera, and yet the feeling is that of an alien planet somehow. The way the film is shot in general is also interesting. On the one hand, we have a lot of color play, the colder greens and whites of the lab contrasted with warmer hues of Alice's apartment, as well as her striking red hair and generally warm colored clothes. And of course, the rich red color of the flowers themselves. I also noticed this unique camera behavior in scenes of dialogue. So, several times in the film, you'll have a simple dialogue scene, two people standing next to each other, one on the right, one on the left. But the camera is centered on the negative space between them, right dead center. And then over the course of the conversation, it slowly zooms in so that at some point it goes past the faces and it excludes them from the frame while the dialogue still continues. And instead, it begins showing us this empty space as if there is another presence with the characters in the room. It's a really unique way to further enhance that feeling that something is wrong with these flowers, perhaps. Also, there's a wonderful dog in the film, and he's a terrific actor, very good boy, a pleasure to have him. So, yeah, a thriller about a potentially malevolent plant that wants to take over people's minds. It sounds insane, but somehow works, in many ways taking a page from classics such as The Thing to create a feeling of isolation, paranoia, and mistrust. In this case, not just mistrust in other people, but in yourself as well. Especially with the ending, which is, I would say, it's kind of morally ambiguous. You'd think it ends in a kind of horrific way on surface, but actually there is a moral dilemma at the heart of that ending. Is it really that bad, all things considered? I ended up liking Little Joe quite a bit, and I think it was better than it should have been.